Hey y'all, hey, it's your girl D and welcome back to Dab's Diary. If you're new to my channel, hey, and if you've been here since day one, what's good? All right, guys, I am back and I'm better, and I know what you're thinking. I'm always back and I'm better. But this time, I am for real. You know what? I have decided that moving forward, I'm going to be more consistent, and that is in every aspect in my life. I'm going to be more consistent with like schoolwork and motherhood and just everything in general. I just feel like consistency is just it's just a new thing, it's just my new goal, and that is what I'm on this year. So I will be posting as much as possible. I hope to be posting at least every Saturday, so go ahead and turn on that notification bell so that you are notified every time I post a video, and I mean every time, poo. Anyways, I am so glad to be back. I have just been doing so much this year, and I cannot wait to just share with you guys what I've been doing and what I have planned. I am actually here today to talk about one of the trips that I took within the last couple of months. It was like last month actually, because it's June. So I took this trip last month, and I just wanted to go ahead and tell you guys what I did in Chicago that was fun and what I would have changed about the trip. So without further ado, go ahead and make sure you are liking and commenting and are subscribed to my YouTube channel so that you can tell me what your experiences are with Chicago and if you plan on going to any of these places that I have mentioned. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. The first thing that I want to talk about is actually planning the trip to Chicago. So when I decided that I wanted to go to Chicago for my birthday, I decided that I was going to invite like a crap ton of people. And I do that because typically when you go on a trip, people start to, or I feel like this is with anything, like when you first mention the idea, like everybody's like, yeah, blah, 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 whatever. But then over time, they start trickling down. And I knew that was going to happen. So I decided that I was just going to invite as many people as possible so that by the time the trip actually came, I would still have a decent amount of people that were still going. So yeah, that was the vibe. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to invite everybody and see who goes and who doesn't go. Now, as time progressed, that did happen. I did end up like downsizing a whole lot when it came to the people that went, but surprisingly, a lot of us still ended up going on the trip. I would say that at the end of the day, there were still 14 of us who went on the trip for my birthday. I feel like that is a good number. When I talked to like the photographer and like my cousin and stuff, and people who are actually helping me put together an itinerary and stuff, when they would ask me how many people, and I was like, oh, 15, they were like, 15? Which is crazy to even me, because I didn't even know I knew 15 people who would be willing to go on a trip with me. Another one of the questions that I got before I move on too fast was, how did I choose to go to Chicago for my birthday? So I am very detail oriented. I like puns and play on words and stuff. And I decided, like, you know what? I'm turning 23. It's my Jordan year. Bulls this, bulls that, we're going to Chicago. And that's just how I came to do that. So I told my friends, you know what, I'm turning 23. I want to spend my Jordan year in Chicago in true Daphne fashion because I love to put themes together. So that was one of the things that I knew that I really wanted to do. So I just went out, I invited all of my friends, and I told them like, hey, this is the plan. This is approximately how much it would cost, and this is what we're going to do. Now, I did not take into consideration, these are one of the don'ts. I did not take into consideration that like the prices that I was looking at when I was planning the trip would be different from the prices that we would actually be having to pay. So a lot of the things that we did in Chicago, I mean, aside from the things like the boat tour and stuff like that, were a little more expensive when the days got closer. That also comes with procrastination. I should have pressed people more about paying for things on time. Like, I shouldn't have waited as long as I did to make sure that people were turning in their money and just, like with the program in that sense. And I do think that that was my fault, just because I should have planned the trip earlier, but I was a little nervous, y'all. I was just too nervous to be like, hey, do you want to go on a trip with me for my birthday, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I didn't think people were going to come. I was just all over the place. I'm very, like, I get in my own head when it comes to things like that. So I just wasn't sure in my planning or sure in the fact that I would get people to come with me. So it took me a long time to gather up the courage to actually be like, okay, this is what I want to do for my birthday. This is what I have planned. Would you or would you not like to participate? Would you or would you not like to participate? My words are just because I talk so fast, and I'm sorry, I don't know how to make it stop. Yeah, so that was the like most difficult part was just asking people like, hey, will you come on my trip with me? So I did, just gonna go over a quick recap to keep myself on track. I invited a bunch of people. I told them the prices. I looked at flights. I looked at rentals. I looked at everything that I possibly thought that we would need for traveling to Chicago. Now, I will say a lot of people did tell us that we were not gonna need a rental when it came to traveling to Chicago. And I think that that's up in the air. So for us, we needed a rental. We stayed in an Airbnb that was approximately 15 minutes away from the city, and that was 15 minutes away driving. Now, if you are staying in the city and you are 15 minutes away from everything, walking distance, a lot of people don't pay attention to that. Walking distance, okay? If you are walking distance, I'm gonna say it again, walking distance from these places, then yes, you do not need an Airbnb. You do not need a rental. You can take Ubers. But we were already 15 minutes away from these places driving, and what Uber were we gonna find to fit 15 people? We were going to have to get multiple Ubers to get us to a place at a certain time. Not only that, the way that we were trying to get out of the house to make it to these things on time, an Uber would not have sufficed. That's just that on that. If you're going with a big group of people and these things are not within walking distance from you, get a rental. And that's that on that. Moving forward, our flight was not a bad flight. We did not do any connections or any layovers. We flew out of Orlando straight into Chicago. And that isn't everybody on the trip, but I'm just speaking for the majority, because there were people traveling from different places. But for the majority of us, we flew out of Orlando and went straight to Chicago. We left at about, I guess, 7 something in the morning. I can't really remember because it's been a while. We left about 7 something in the morning, and we landed in Chicago like really early. Chicago is an hour behind. There's an hour difference in the time. I cannot remember right now, but we did take that into consideration as well. So we got to Chicago at a decent time. We were able to get there, get alcohol for the Airbnb, do any other things, like just kind of like get there and chill, because the first day that we were there, everybody was traveling at different times. So I didn't want to plan anything that anybody would miss out on. So I just went ahead and was like, okay, this is going to be our chill day. This is going to be when we all come in and just kind of like get a feel of the area, get a feel of where we're staying. So we went to the Airbnb, we unpacked, we just unloaded and kind of just, settled in really, which I feel like that's very important. So for my previous trips, we did not have a day dedicated to settling in. So that kind of messes up as far as time wise. Luckily, Chicago, there's not that much of a time difference as there was when I went to California. But the day for settling in definitely helped us. One thing I will say about our Airbnb, and this is very important. When you are up north, parking is scarce. Do not get an Airbnb that doesn't have its own parking. We were lucky enough to be able to park next to our Airbnb and not get towed or anything, but we were not supposed to. We were supposed to go find parking elsewhere and walk to that parking spot every time we got to the house. There was an instance where like the landlord card and we had to like move our cars out of the driveway, but other than that, it was pretty easy. There was a school across the street, and because it was a weekend, we were able to park there without having to pay for it or anything. So those are just the basics as far as inviting people, flying, transportation when you get to the city, and like little things here and there that we didn't think about, because I personally did not think about having to park in Chicago. I didn't think about having to pay for parking at our Airbnb. So those are the things that I feel like are just right off the bat very important to understand. What time your flight is getting there, is there a time difference, what the Airbnbs are like, what the transportation is like. Another thing that I will say that I did not anticipate or I did not prepare for is that the homes are smaller or tighter as far as square feet is concerned. I'm from Florida, okay? Rooms are not that small and they're not on top of each other. And because there were so many of us in one space, we should have gotten a larger Airbnb. I should have gotten a larger Airbnb, but I didn't. And that's all I got to say about that. I just didn't. But moving forward, it's something that I'm going to learn from, is that like I need to just go ahead and really understand where I'm going and how it could be different from where I'm living, so that the comfort or what we're used to can be transferred over to the next location. Now to the fun part. All right, so we did a few things. Chicago was a vibe. Okay, Chicago was a vibe. Insert video here.
I'm pretty sure it's probably gonna be like a drop off. You said how what?
Insert video here. It was just a vibe, guys. I am so happy that I did not change my plans or cancel the trip, because it was getting to the point where like so many of the girls were like dropping like back to back to back, and I was like, oh my god, my trip is gonna be ruined, like it's just gonna be a bunch of guys and and all this stuff. But I'm so glad we went. Shout out to the guys for bringing the vibes. You know, they was lit, we was lit. You know, I was just so excited to like actually be there and have fun. So that's another thing, like the people that you go with will make or break your trip, because the people that went on the trip with us, I feel like we're just all around in good spirits. Obviously, you know, when you're around people for too long, you do get annoyed or your social media runs out. But overall, I just had a good time with the people that I went with. So shout out to you guys for coming on that trip with me. I did plan an itinerary. We didn't stick to it. And I'm not saying that we didn't stick to it because we were just like, oh, we're not going to do anything. We just didn't stick to it because of the sake of time. I am a planner. I will put in like 4 to 5 activities in the day and not even know if we have time to do all those things. But I just want to know that like, okay, in the event that we have downtime, this is what we're going to do next. This is what we're going to do next. This is what we're going to do next. I did not take into consideration that we would be drinking so much, which I should have known because it was my birthday. But should have just known, period, because of the people that went on the trip with me. So that is not an excuse for myself. I set myself up. But we missed a lot of things because we were either too drunk to go, too tired because we were drunk, or there just wasn't enough time. We missed, we were supposed to go to this like bowling sports place. We didn't go because by the time we got through the day, everybody was tired, everybody was hot, everybody just wanted to lay down. So we ended up opting for a game night in the house. I'm gonna go ahead and insert some clips here. All right, bet. That's just gonna be some of the things that we did during the game night. We also ended up doing other things like a party bus. I knew that I wanted a party bus from Red because I just felt like, you know, it's a pandemic. Instead of going to a club, instead of like not listening to music that we want to listen to, or not creating the vibes that we wanted to create, like we just do a party bus and have our own party around somebody else's city. So I knew that that was going to be something that I enjoyed. I do recommend that for anybody going on a trip. If you do not want to go to a club, or if you are afraid that you cannot find a club that caters to the music that you listen to, go ahead and get a party bus. Yes, it's something that you can do at home, but it's so much more fun when you do it in another city. Insert clip, because this is red. Exactly. So much fun. What else did I want to talk about? Sorry, I wrote everything down and I'm just like trying to make sure that I stay within my time frame, but that's none of y'all business. That's really all up to me to do. But the last thing I wanted to talk about was food. I know I had like a few different restaurants on the itinerary that we should have went to, but again, we did miss a lot of stuff. I think we went on a river tour. We went to the sports museum, which was actually really fun. In the mall, there was like this little store, which I also will insert a video right here. There was also a little store where like you could taste the liquor that they made. I mean, it was all types of different stuff, and that was really cool. We went downtown, we did a little walking, we went to the Navy Pier. Like all these things are things that we did that were fun. I will go ahead and link down some of the activities that we did in the description, because I know I haven't really gotten into detail as far as like what we did and what we didn't do, but those are just things that should be fun. They did go to a restaurant, but I had a stomach ache, so I did not go. I stayed in the car, and I'm not ashamed to say that. You know, I stayed in the car. I know they did like deep dish pizza. I know they got like food from like this hot dog stand or something. I don't know, they did a lot that I just could not keep up with, but I would go ahead and do the best that I can to link the activities and stuff in the description box, just so that you guys can have a good feeling of like what you should do, where you should go and where you shouldn't go. We stayed away from the south side. Everybody was like, stay away from the south side, stay away from the south side. So we didn't do that. We went to Millennium Park. We, you know, got food from a food truck. We just did so many things in true tourist fashion. And I not tourist, even though I am a tourist. And we went during tourist season. But I just want to clear that up for y'all. We just did a lot of stuff that I feel like were fun. So those are really the only things that I wanted to like go ahead and mention. There is a place, I can't remember the name of it, but it was so cute and it was so fun. I think it was called Pink Flamingo, Pink something. I don't know, but I will also list that in the description box. Here's a picture of it. Here's a video. And yeah, I just would like you guys to understand, if you don't take anything else from this video, please take that. 1, do have a rental. 2, do plan. 3, do go with the right people, okay? And as far as your don't go to the south side. Don't underestimate parking fees. And don't do anything that I wouldn't do. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna go ahead and just put in a clip here of all the things that we did and all the fun that we have. If you do go to Chicago, please let me know. And if you've already been to Chicago, go ahead and put down in the comments what you've done, and maybe I'll go back and look at those things. Thank you, and have a good day, you guys. And remember, be cute with it.